Welcome to the Google Apps training in Canvas. This training is presented by the Office for Academic Innovation. My name is Kevin Lawanto, and a bit on overview of this training. Before you attend this training, you might want to, just as a consideration or recommended, we do have a recommended training pathway that you might consider taking before attending this training, just because we're gonna move ahead and pretend that you already know some of Canvas features, for example, how to create an assessment, just because we're not going to create a brand new assessment. We're going to go directly into uh, um, modifying the assessment, not creating from scratch. So, so we recommend that to see some of this video, you go to our, well, before that, we go a little bit housekeeping. All of you have attended our previous training in the past. So all of this will be pretty straightforward, that if you have any questions, please put it in the chat and I should be able to answer your question in the chat. At the end of the session, we should have probably about 8 minutes or so at the end where we can have a Q&A session. Or if you still have more questions about Google or Canvas in general, we recommend that you attend our virtual office hours starting at 2 to 3 today. You can find the Zoom link to our virtual office hours in our website. If you want to follow along during this training, you can log into your Canvas course. You can log into LMS.TAMU.EDU, and on the top right-hand corner, you should be able to see the login button where you can log in with your net ID and password. So a little bit about, well, you log into your Canvas course. If you want to follow along, you can use your practice course or your developmental course, which is up to you. We recommend that you use either your practice or development course, not your live course. So a little bit about our website. Again, all of you have attended our previous training in the past, so you all should be familiar with LMS.TAMU.EDU. But just in case, if you, again, as a reminder, if you want to learn more about how to migrate your eCampus to Canvas, we do have an import guide and other make the move information related about Canvas, the feature we love, especially this Google Drive is listed in one of the things that in the feature we love section. Also, if you have any questions about Zoom or would like to learn more about Zoom, how to use Zoom in the LMS, or not inside of LMS, which is using tamu.zoom.us, we do have a section which just talk about Zoom. And lastly, the train up section is where we where we put all of our in-video on-demand training and also a virtual office hours section. So we recommend that you always go to our training and support section weekly or daily or whenever you need to. This is where you can find information on our virtual office hours. Feel free to let the other faculty know too that we do have virtual office hours available for faculty that they can ask questions about Canvas and other products that we support in the Office for Academic Innovation. So, and on the bottom is where we store all of our videos. We recently modified our website template, so I think it's easier to use for faculty to use it. We have Canvas and proctoring and Zoom and also eCampus. So that is a brief overview of our LMS.TAMU.EDU website. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint and talk about training outcomes. So by the end of this training, you all should be able to authorize and link and embed Google Apps in Canvas, and also identify best practices for using Google Apps in Canvas. And we're certainly going to talk about this during this training. So what is Google Drive? So if you attended our previous training either on yesterday or on Wednesday, you all should be familiar that this week we're talking in the past for 3 days. Today's the last day that we're gonna talk about Google Drive this week. You all should be familiar with Google Drive. It's basically a cloud storing space, right? We all know that Canvas provide faculty, staff who have access to the LMS with only a limited amount of storage space. We always recommend that if they have, if their course is very media heavy, upload it to Google because Google provide faculty and students unlimited storage if they're using their TAMU login IDs. So using Google Drive, uh, uh, you should be able to store documents, images, audios, and videos. So, and also why use Google Apps? So just to, as a disclaimer in this training, when I say Google Apps, the, there are only 3 Google apps that we as an office support, and also available in Canvas, which is Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides. If you want to use Google, unfortunately, these are the only 3 Google apps that we're going to talk about because the other Google, such as, for example, Google Drawing or Google Hangout, those are different types of Google apps that we really do not support. Um, so using Google apps such as Google Docs, Google Sheet, and Google Slides, faculty can easily link that their uh, files, either way, Google Docs, Google Sheet, or Google Slides in Canvas very easily. And they can definitely use this for as part of the collaboration feature for their students to use. Especially it's important nowadays where a lot of our courses are moving online. So, but faculty still still wants to provide an active learning experience for their students. So using Google Apps such as Google Docs is one way to still keep that active learning opportunity in their classroom. So embedding, so from this point on, I'm going to switch between my PowerPoint and my um, Canvas course. So if I'm going too fast, just let me know in the chat and I can certainly go over that topic again. So let's go to my Canvas course. This is my Canvas course. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is how to make their lesson materials content a lot more engaging, right? Because that's one way to use Google Apps is basically it's going to help them making their lesson materials more engaging in Canvas. So I'm gonna go to my Canvas course. I'm gonna find a course. I'm gonna use a course overview. Especially it's important for the layout or the impression, the first impression when the student join your course. It's rich, it's fun, it's very colorful or media heavy or something like because if you design it with just text or PDF, students can easily get bored over it, right? So we want to make sure that we make the course overview or their homepage or that the beginning modules interesting for students to look at. I'm going to click edit on my course overview. And then in my course overview, I'm going to go to the rich content editor and the rich content editor. This is our brand new rich content editor, which if you click this clock button, which is that says apps, click that, and this pop-up menu will show up. And all you need to do is click this Google Apps. So don't click this, click the name. And you might get, if this is your first time using Google Apps, you might get a message to authorize it. So you might want to authorize it. Once you authorize it, it might take a while, to your TAMU account. So in here, you have access to your all the documents or videos or lesson materials that you have in your Google Drive. This is what you can only see what's inside of your Google Drive. So if you have any outside materials that other people are sharing with you in your Google Drive, you have to move it to your My Drive first before you can see it in Canvas. Because Canvas, the Google Drive integration will not allow you to see what's being shared with you. You can only see what's in your own drive. So these are all of the things that I have in my own drive. I'm gonna choose this origami MP4. Once I click the video or whatever that you want to use, so for example, you can see that this is a Google Slides. Um, all you need to do is just, you can either embed or link it. If it's a video, our best practice is to always embed it so that your students will get a video player directly showing in Canvas. So once you embed that video, your students will be able to see the video wherever you put your cursor in. So that video is going to be right there. Of course, before I put that, I didn't put my cursor somewhere, so it's always going to show up on the top. But yeah, that's something that you need to make sure, or your faculty to know, that before you embed it, put your cursor somewhere in the location, the exact location where you want to put the video. If not, Canvas will put it on the top. But if you embed it, students will be able to see the video player directly in Canvas, which is a nice thing. So they don't have to click the link and then they have to go to Google Drive and watch it there on their Google Drive. So that's what I'm gonna do. Once you're happy with the location, all you need to just click save. And the video should be available for student view as long as you publish it. So that is the first thing that I want to show you. Let's go back to the PowerPoint again. As you can see, that's what the students will see. So we already talked about how to embed Google Files in Rich Content Editor. As a tip, know what you're looking for in Google Drive. Make your Google Drive organized, because that's going to save a lot of your time rather than figuring out where you put some files or is that. And also as a tip, make your file view only. If you don't want your students to annotate or comment on it, make sure that if you attended our previous training yesterday, you should know by now how to make your Google Drive files view only, so that students will not be able to annotate or modify it. They can only view it. So the second thing that I want to talk about in this training is how to submit assignment using Google Drive. So for example, your student is planning to submit a video, and you know that video sometimes, most of the time, will be huge, right? The file size is going to be huge. And Canvas does have a video size upload limit, which is, I think, is 500 megabytes. Sometimes videos, media exceed that limit. You have 1 GB depending on the length of the video, or it's a type of video that Canvas does not support. Uh, uh, so there's something that you can do is to create an assignment. Let me find an assignment. I've created an assignment. Let's use this Google assignment. So let's go to an assignment and click edit. And then just making sure that in the no submission file, you click online. and then choose file uploads at least. Choose file uploads. And then that's the only thing that you need to make sure. And then once ready, click save or save and publish. I'm going to save and publish so that you know what you will see. Let me make sure that actually my module 2 is published so that you can see it. So from that is not. Oh, it's week 1. I want week 2. That is not. So I'm going to publish this so that I'm going to go to my home and student view. If you go to student view and then go find that modules and modules 2, week 2, you'll be able to see the Google assignment. So this is what the student will see. So once they click the submit assignment, they will see this Google Drive button where they can authorize it. Of course, we cannot show you this just because you're using a student view, but students should be able to authorize their Google Drive and upload the videos so that they don't have to use the file upload and be limited to only 500 megabytes, right? But we always recommend outside of that, outside of videos, that student actually upload a PDF or Word document as a submission so that they no longer modify their assignment after the due date, right? But if just video, it will be fine because it's going to take some time for them to, there's no way to edit the video after the submission. But there is a way if they submit a Google Docs, they still have access to it and they can submit it right after the submission. So just keep you aware of that. I'm going to leave student view. And the last thing that I want to show you in this training is how to use Google Docs as part of a discussion. So I'm going to go to a discussion page. So a lot of faculty use Google Drive or Google Docs when they want their students to interact with one another when they're doing a discussion group, right? So of course, you can definitely use Google Drive as part of the discussion group, but as a caveat, as a disclaimer, this is something that you probably want to let the faculty aware of is that who wants the first conversation, it should be who wants to be the owner of the Google Docs? Is it the faculty or is it the student? So because that really depends. If the student, if the faculty does not care who wants to be the owner of Google Docs, they can let the students create their own Google Docs, right? One of the disclaimer is that if the student is the owner of the Google Docs, the faculty might not going to be able to judge who participate, like what kind of participation does each student actually perform or show in the Google Docs. But if the faculty actually cares about the owner and they want to be the owner because they want to see who or what time the student actually make changes to the Google Docs or what time the student actually do several things or change the document, they have to be the owner. So they're the one who needs to create the Google Docs for the students. So it really depends on also on the group size, right? If they only have 5 groups and a course, it might be manageable to create 5 different Google Docs for the students for each group. But if you have a large class with 300 students and you have, let's say, 50 Google groups, 50 groups, you might not want to create 50 Google Docs, right? So that's just one thing that just to let your faculty know who wants to be the owner of Google Docs. So once that decided, they can create the discussion page, and they have to post the Google Docs, link that Google Docs on each of the groups. So they have to go to Google Group One. This is my Google Group One, and post the discussion put the link for the Google for that group that they can join and participate and modify. So they have to do it if they have 50 different groups, they have to do it 50 different times, one per group. But if they don't want to be the owner, their students can still go to their group and create their own. They don't have to worry about it. And you can let the students create the Google Docs, right? So that is one thing that I just want to be make you aware of. So we already talked about this. So as a tip again, ask the student to submit the file, Word doc or PDF from the Google Drive and not submit a Google Drive link so that they no longer can modify their assignment after the submission. And the instructor can still view it even though they upload it as a Google using Google Drive. The instructor will still be able to view the student submission in the speed career and use the annotation feature if necessary. And the last thing that we talk about is using Google Drive and group work. Again, feel free to create. So you can see in the picture right here that are in group one, I posted a Google Doc for group one that each team member in that group can just click Google Docs and participate in this Google Doc. This Google Doc is only for group one. So if you for group two, they're going to get a totally brand new Google Doc with a different link. Yeah, the faculty have to link to group two. So like I said, depends on who wants to be the owner of the file. Instructor might want to provide the students with Google Doc and which students can modify and have students collaborate via Google Drive and download as PDF. And after they collaborate, what we see most often is that the faculty create an assignment where each team member, just one person from that team member, can upload the final version as an assignment, as a PDF, and submit it as an assignment. So that is it in our training that I want to say. So if you haven't done so, please look at our other trainings that are available next week. Next week, we should be talking about the different modalities of what you can do, what faculty can do, and please feel free to share it with the faculty in your departments or colleges. Next week, we'll be talking about the different modalities, like what the faculty can do when they're teaching face-to-face or hybrid or online. But yeah, and also keep a lookout of other trainings that are available on the website. Yes. So we also have resources, which I'm going to share with you and at the end of this training. And also for more resources, you should all be aware that we have YouTube channel. We also have a support. We also have office hours. If the office hours time that we have does not match with the availability time of your because you have a different meeting during those time, feel free to send us an email at AI@TAMU or call us anytime 825.
To learn more, please visit LMS.TAMU.EDU or email us at aihelp@TAMU.EDU. Thank you.